All right, today we have back on the show Thomas Lamb, CEO of Myriad Uranium. Thomas, thanks for coming back to the show.
It's good to see you, Stian.
You have released news release today, but for those who don't know the company, can you give the viewers a 1 minute recap of Myriad Uranium?
Absolutely. We're a fairly new junior uranium explorer. We're listed on the CSE. Our symbol is M, Myriad Uranium. We're co-listed on the OTC and in Frankfurt. Myriad's assets are in Niger. We do have a gold asset in Eastern Canada, but we're focused on uranium. Our uranium exploration assets are in the Mersoi Basin in Niger and West Africa. We have over 1,800 square kilometers across 4 licenses. And what's really interesting about them is they are right up against some of the world's top uranium deposits. Our northern license, Ajobout, is next to Immereren. That's the world's second largest uranium deposit. It's on the same structures, just a few kilometers away. Our middle license is down the road from Global Atomic's DASA. Global Atomic was our size, our market cap, 8-9 million. A few years ago, it's now up in the 600-700 million range, depending on the share price. We're trying to basically emulate what Global Atomic did, which is discover high-grade Athabasca, almost Athabasca-like grades at deeper strata in this Mersoi Basin. And finally, I'll mention Niger is a very exciting basin. It's not really well known globally, but it's really up and coming. It's been completely dominated by the French for the last 5 decades. It's opened up now, and you have companies like Myriad in there, and it's going to get hot, and we're going to tell the viewers why, I'm sure, a little later, because there's some new news, isn't there?
Yeah, we'll get back to that. There has been some recent news by the Chinese who have visited and met the Nigerian president.
That's right.
This morning you issued a news release regarding the start of some geophysics. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what you're doing at your properties?
Yeah, so as part of summarizing the company, I'll mention that the French did very high-end exploration, but at a regional scale over the last 4 decades or so over our licenses. This is quite a bit of drilling, about 28,000 meters, but that's at very wide spacing and never deeper than 300 meters. That's just in the sandstone. And they flew geophysics at 100 meter, 200 meter spacing. This is fixed wing or maybe some other airborne, but not super high resolution by modern standards. And then they did surface work, geochemistry mapping, radiometrics, etc. But things have changed now. In the last few years, we have access to some really cool technology. So what we're doing is Global Atomic's DASA was discovered, maybe you could say, starting 12 years ago or so, with new thinking, new techniques. We know what they did. We're going to copy mostly what they did, but we're able to add now high resolution drone mag, which we are doing right now. We're halfway through 5,500 some odd line kilometers of this very high resolution drone mag. It allows us to map the surface structures. It's going to help us pick drill collars so that we can drill very accurately. We're going to understand the surface structures. So that's in process right now. We announced that today, that the drones are flying. But on top of that, sort of the next step is an electrical method. Everybody's just arrived in Niger the last few days. This is AMT, magnetotellurics, so it's very penetrative. It goes down to almost a kilometer and allows us to see the subsurface structures down to a kilometer. So we combine all this, the French data, which is high quality but dated and not as high resolution, plus their drilling that they did, plus going to be our drone mag, which is flying now, and our AMT. And all this is going to allow us to, hopefully, get some very exciting drilling in before the end of the year. That's what's going on. That's what we announced today, and we're very excited about it.
And I presume this geophysics work is going to lead up to a drill program?
Yeah, exactly right. So as I mentioned, the French drilled just wide space targets, about a kilometer. They drilled down to 300 meters, about a kilometer apart where they did drill. And so we're doing something new. We are drilling this intersection of the fault that goes up to Madaouela. That's GoviX's 100 million pound Madaouela project. That fault intersects with the Arlet Fault, which hosts just south of us Orano's Immerern deposit, which again is the world's second largest. So where those two faults or structures intersect has not been drilled. This is really interesting. So we're doing geophysics there. The French had plans to drill it, but they never quite got to it. They were about to. So we are going to drill that intersection. Geophysics is being flown right there. So it's going to allow us, the geophysics is going to allow us to pick drill collars, hopefully target what could be high-grade uranium and uranium traps a bit deeper. So yes, drill targets there. And then further south at our Afode project, which is near Global Atomics DASA, the geophysics is also going to allow us to pick drill targets. And we're hoping to kind of copy what Global Atomic did, which is look for these uranium traps a bit deeper in the sort of carboniferous layer. It starts around 300 meters. So a bit of a roundabout way of saying exactly right. Going to allow us to pick, hopefully very accurately, some really good drill targets.
And what do you expect the budget would be for this first drill program?
So we can accomplish a lot for $1 million. We already have some really good ideas about what we do. But then it may be that we, so by the way, drilling is not too expensive there, and, it's sort of easy to access, et cetera. So we can accomplish a lot, and it's through sandstone, the first 300 meters. For a budget of about 4.3 million, we can do some very exciting things. So we're going to split that up into phases, and we'll see how much money we have in the treasury, and I'm sure we'll raise some in due course.
Yeah, and in our last time we talked, you mentioned that you might be looking at JVs for your other projects. Is that something you're still looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. We get inquiries, bankers, entrepreneurs, or we're in touch and talking about doing things, but nothing that is firm yet. But this is everybody's looking at Niger, and it's an exciting spot. So I'm sure we'll end up doing things with these projects. Fair amount of M&A is going to happen in Niger over the coming year. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I agree. There, and as we mentioned, there has been some quite a bit of news out of Niger lately. First, a couple of months ago, we had an investment decision by Orano to invest, I believe, 100 million euros into looking at ISR development of the Immeraren project. And just a couple of days ago now, we had a tweet by the Nigerian president, who had met a delegation from China, who are looking at actually restarting the Asalik mine, which I believe is to the best of your, is it the Afode project?
Yeah, southwest, on the same structure.
Yeah. In addition to restarting this mine, they are planning to build industrial park and I believe oil pipeline. So could you speak a little bit about what this new investment means for your operations in the country?
Yeah, like I said earlier, the French have dominated the basin. They've built roads, trained people. There's electricity, et cetera. So they've really set it up for us foreign investors. But now it's time for Niger to level up, and it's happening. So with regard to the French and at Orano and Immeraren, I think they've announced about 115 million Canadian is what it totals. This is an investment in situ recovery. They've already done a few years of hydrological testing, which is effectively in situ, but test work. And so now they're really stepping up, and they've announced this. Let's see how this goes, but it's a potential game changer if the economics work. If it works and the economics are great, which can be with ISR, then this is transformative for the basin. With Azalik coming on, if Immeraren comes on with its ISR, DASA starts production, I mean, we've been saying this in our news releases, and people just, I think it doesn't register, but Niger is going to go from 5th or 6th largest producer in the world to 2nd largest uranium producer in the world out of nowhere. So this is what this means. All of a sudden, it's going to be, next to Kazakhstan, going to be second biggest producer in the world. Very exciting. With the Chinese there as a leak, and then also investing in other things. I mean, this is going to be sort of the build out of Niger's uranium basin. What little patches of acreage are left will be taken up soon, I'm sure, on the uranium side. And then, Niger is going to start to level up. It's going to be an exciting country here for the many years to come. Yep.
Yeah, and I believe it's great for the country to have more than just one nation being in production, because no one wants a monopoly. I believe Namibia has been focusing on the same thing. They want to avoid just having the Chinese in the country, and it's good for everyone, including the locals, to have a diverse set of companies.
That's right.
Being active.
Yeah, even the French, who've dominated, I'm sure they have some mixed feelings because this uranium basin has been theirs. I think they like it overall. They're really happy to have, because it takes the pressure off them vis-a-vis the government and the local people. This is, now everybody can work together, and all sorts of different people, that different points of view, instead of just sort of two groups, facing off against each other for decades. This is very healthy. Yeah, really exciting. Yeah.
All right, Thomas, thank you so much for coming back, and it would be great to have you back once the drills are turning, and you can give us another update.
Exciting things to come. I can guarantee it. Yeah, it's going to be exciting.